welcome back to War Machines. Last time we finished the first round of each bracket in the competition, and this episode marks the beginning of the second round of each bracket for all three classes. The first 10 fights of it will be presented in this episode, but before we find out who all is fighting tonight, let's check out the brackets for each class. First up, we have the bracket for the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. Just to let you know, we won't be going through each part of the bracket like last time, so pause the video or check out the image of it that I posted on my Instagram if you would like a closer look at it. Also, if you happen to do a bracket for this tournament, I highly bet your bracket was probably busted, as several high seeds fell in the first round. And as you can see, there are quite a few 40 and 50 seeds who are all still in it right now, who all prove that they were underranked when placed in this bracket. Some matchups in there that I'm looking forward to include Sawblaze vs Apollo, K2 vs Valkyrie, Bronco vs Rev 4, Saw Loser vs Tombstone, and Huge vs Lockjaw, to name a few. Lots of entertainment is on the way, but let's check out the next class. Next, we have the Robot Wars class bracket. Your bracket is probably busted here as well, as a few big names fell in this one, but surprisingly, the top 10 in this one, and all 10 of them are still alive here, as they are all after a War Machines title. Many more entertaining matchups are in this one, like for example, Shunt vs Apex, Eruption vs Hypnodisc, Gravity vs Tornado, Iron Awe vs Lucid Dream, and Noisy Cricket vs Matilda are a few of the many entertaining battles here. Lots of entertainment are on the way for this class in this round. Let's now get to the third and final class. Finally, we have the DSL class. I remind you that the competitive field for this one is half the size compared to the other two, so we are down to 16 machines in this class. Sure enough, the top 4 are all still in it here. 8 entertaining matchups will be coming for this class, but the 2 matchups I'm looking forward to most this round include Biohazard and Razor, and Hypnodisc vs 259. The stakes couldn't be higher for this class right now, along with the other 2, as anything could happen at this point in the competition. I am looking forward to all of this, as there's going to be several entertaining matchups coming in this round. Let's now check out the first 10 fights of the round that are appearing on tonight's fight card. To lead off this round of the tournament, we lead it off with the Horizontal Spinner of Apex, who will take on the Hammer of Shunt. Our second battle features the Vertical Spinner of Cobalt, who will take on the Flipper of Nexus. Following that, we have the powerful and legendary Flipper of Bronco, who will take on the devastating Undercutter of Rev 4. Fourth fight of the night features the Horizontal Spinner of Mo and the Vertical Spinner of Nightmare. Fight number 5 features the Vertical Spinner of Holy Driver and the Front Hinge Flipper of P1. Next, we have the Drum Spinner of Minotaur, who will take on the Grabber and Lifter design of Slammo. Following that, we have the Vertical Spinner of 259, who will take on the Horizontal Spinner of Hypnodisc. Next, we have the Full Body Spinner of Megabyte, who will take on the Flipper of Ripper. Following that, we have a rematch from earlier this season. We have Breakerbox and Electric Boogaloo, who will meet in the arena for the second time this season. Finally, we have tonight's main event, which features the Flipper of Apollo, who gets another overhead saw for their opponent, but it's Sawblaze this time, who will be another challenging opponent for them. Sawblaze will also have a challenging opponent, though. Great lineup tonight. What a way to start off this round. Lots of entertaining battles are coming your way. Let's now get to our first battle of the night. First up, we have the 16 and the 17 seed in the Robot Wars class. We have Apex and Shunt. On the left side, we have Apex, who was awarded the 17 seed in this class, and their Horizontal Spinner. That is a large spinner, it's got a lot of range to it, and it's got a lot of power to it as well. However though, their own stability was a problem in their past 2 fights, and could very much be a problem here if they are not careful about their opponent. Still though, they can self-right through the use of their spinner here if they happen to get flipped over, but still a lot to watch here with Apex. Their opponent is Shunt, the Robot Wars house robot in the 16 seed in their hammer. Their front is very well designed here, as it's low to the ground and does an excellent job scooping up opponents, that way they can land a hammer shot in this one. While their front is relatively effective, their armor, including their front scoop, are relatively delicate here, and that could be stuff to watch. Let's check out some highlights from the last match that both of these bots had. First up, we have Apex, who landed hit after hit, knocked off piece after piece against King B, and won that one by unanimous judges' decision. They get a challenging one for their next opponent in Shunt, who landed hit after hit with that hammer on them, and managed to knock off bit after bit of Brutus and won it in a knockout. Let's get to the first battle of the round. Here we go. Here comes Shunt charging right out of the gate. Looks like they're looking to box rush Apex, and they have that spinner slowed down temporarily here. Now Apex slowly getting that spinner to speed, but Shunt halting it, pushing Apex into the rails, and they are landing hit after hit with that hammer now. Going absurd with that hammer here. Looks like Shunt's strategy is clearly to box rush Apex here, get them on their head possibly, like what they've got right now, and then just go nuts with that hammer, and they are doing it to perfection so far here. Hit after hit being landed to the underside. Apex has got a self-right. Could a countdown be coming soon? No, they self-right here. Here comes Shunt missing a hammer shot, but now they got Apex pinned again. They have him pinned against the rails, and now landing hit after hit again with that hammer. The points are stacking up in Shunt's favor here. We're a minute into this battle here, and Apex, they gotta get some breathing room and fast, and they do. They're getting that spinner to speed and hits Shunt right in the front, but Shunt, that seemed to not really affect them very much, as they are still pushing Apex around the arena. They have Apex in the corner now, landing more shots with that hammer here. They're getting right near a wheel area here. Could they potentially be doing damage there? Looks like they have. I see a wheel in the corner there. I think Apex lost a wheel after that last set of exchanges. That can't be good here. Apex is in some serious trouble right now. They just haven't been able to get anything going so far in this one. We're over halfway into this one, and Shunt, this is the perfect box rushing we have seen out of anybody so far. They have just been denying Apex the use of that spinner for a lot of this battle. Apex has really only landed like 2 or 3 big hits with that spinner so far. Shunt keeping Apex on their head right now, and taking them into the rails once again. Back into the corner goes Apex here. Apex is just in some serious trouble. They gotta get right back on their head here, or they will be counted out. The fight could get called off if this continues. But Shunt's just continuing to bully them around the arena. It's like another piece came off. It's like one of the side panels on Apex, probably. One of the places guarding those wheels. But Apex still has lost a wheel, though. They do have 3 wheels left, but still, they could be in serious trouble here. They finally right themselves. They finally have that spinner going. Big hit by Apex, but Shunt withstands it and has them pinned again. Uh-oh, something came off there. 10 seconds left to go in this one. Hit after hit being landed. Looks like they lost the weapon. That's the bit that was lost. And the clock has now hit 0. This battle is in the hands of the judges. Interesting one this could be here. Because Shunt's strategy was clearly to box rush Apex and then just go nuts with the hammer. And they did the best job out of probably anybody who has used a strategy like this here. as they just denied Apex of getting that weapon up to speed here, and we saw them just land hammer shot after hammer shot here. Gotta say, they landed like 50 something blows in this one. Constantly pinned Apex against the rails, just denied them from getting that spinner up to speed. He ran him in the corner here. This area right here was when things started to get bad for Apex. One of these hammer shots knocked out a wheel on Apex, leaving them with 3 wheels left to use to control, 3 wheels left to drive on for the rest of the battle here. But then things even got worse for Apex later in this battle. Well, it's right here, a side panel was knocked off there, and then it wasn't long before they knocked off the entire weapon. What a battle this will be. Let's check out what the judges had to say. We have a unanimous decision in favor of Shunt. I gotta say I agree with the decision, as they just did not give Apex a chance in this one. Apex just did not get much going in this battle. Excellent win for Shunt. Shunt is in the top 16 for this class. What a fight that was. What a way to lead off the round. Coming up next, we have the return of the top seed, who will take on the 33 seed in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. On the left side, we have the 1 seed Cobalt and their vertical spinner. This bot definitely would have won the most destructive bot award, and it is proving that it's willing to defend that title, as they've gotten 2 destructive victories so far in the competition, showing that they are well worthy of that top seed. However though, they do have those vulnerable sides of theirs, and as well, if the spinner is not working and they get flipped over, they will not be able to self-right. Their opponent is Nexus, the 33 seed, and their flipper. That flipper is very powerful and is one weapon to worry about here. However though, if they happen to misflip here, not only could that cost them due to Cobalt's destructive weapon, but they will probably flip themselves over in the process, like what we saw in their first 2 battles. This should be a fun one. Let's check out some highlights from both of these bots' last matchup. First up, we have Cobalt here, who struck again with that destructive spinner, dismantled Double Jeopardy piece by piece, and eventually took out their control board in this one. To advance to this round, their next challenger is Nexus, who managed to land flip after flip and won against Blacksmith in a very close judge's decision. Let's get to this battle. Let's see if Nexus can take out the 1 seed. Here we go, Cobalt getting that weapon speed, Nexus charging right out of the gate. Nexus misflips, but Cobalt just misses with that vertical spinner. They're at the sides, and Nexus here landing a hit with that vertical spinner. A few more shots being landed by Cobalt in that vertical spinner. Nexus taking some damage early. I see smoke coming out. Nexus has got himself right and fast. Cobalt starting to land some major shots. And off comes the front of that flipper. Off comes a major chunk of it. Nexus trying to self-right, just unable to. They do so now, and they lose one of the wings. They are smoking quite badly right now. Not in a good place. They lose a wheel, and their control board falls. Cobalt wins, and another quick knockout here. Jeez, could Cobalt be a major contender for the title in this class here? They just struck once again with that vertical spinner. Nexus misflipped, and it costed them here. That helped Cobalt get underneath them and land some more devastating shots at that spinner. Right here, Cobalt managed to take off a major chunk of that flipper here. Right there. Nexus just really struggled to self-right here without taking more punches from Cobalt. This was the kill shot right here. Took off a wing, then eventually got underneath them one more time, where they took out a wheel and finished off the control board on Nexus. Cobalt will advance to the next round. Next up, we have the 9 seed Bronco, who will take on the 24 seed Rev 4 in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. First up, we have Bronco and their flipper. That flipper is very powerful, and we've seen them land so many entertaining flips that we love to see in this competition. However though, their flip supply is limited. I don't have an exact number, and it is a relatively high number, but it will still be something to watch in this fight, because if they run out of flips, they'll just lose power altogether and they will not be able to move. Their opponent is Rev4 and their Undercutter. That Undercutter is very powerful. It has caused a lot of destruction in their first 2 battles. This might not be a problem for them against Bronco here, but their big weakness are those 2 exposed wheels. They probably also want to try and keep that horizontal spinner to an undercutter as much as possible, because Bronco won't be able to get under them as easily. So they'll want to try to avoid being flipped over. Let's now check out some fights from both of these bots' previous round matchups. First up, we have Bronco. Bronco managed to land big flip after big flip here against Hold My Beer. And Hold My Beer just couldn't really get anything going before Bronco managed to toss them clean out of the arena and won this battle by knockout. Their opponent is Rev4, who took apart Warhawk piece by piece with that horizontal spinner, and even though Warhawk managed to survive the full 3 minutes, Rev4 won an easy judge's decision to get to this point in the tournament. Let's see how they fare against the big flipper of Bronco. Here we go. Here comes Bronco slowly out of the gate. Big hit by both bots. It sends them both back. And now Bronco's got Rev4 against the rails and landing a few flips. Another flip by Bronco. And another one. 3 big flips. Make that 4 big flips by Bronco here. Excellent start to this one by Bronco, but they gotta be careful of that spinner on Rev4. That thing is very capable of doing damage. I see a small piece of Bronco. Big flip there, but Bronco gets flipped over. Rev4's now got that horizontal spinner at full speed. They are on the chase just after Bronco, while Bronco's trying to turn that flipper towards them. Bronco, trying to land another big flip. Gotta try to get Rev4 out of the arena as quickly as possible before Rev4 starts doing some serious damage. Bronco gets another flip in, and another flip. Bronco seems to be able to get underneath Rev4 a lot easier when their horizontal spinner is not in the undercutter position here. As we see, Bronco having a lot of trouble here, even though they have been able to land some flips here, just dodging the horizontal spinner here. Another flip by Bronco. I do see a few more pieces across the arena belonging to Bronco here. So that undercutter is doing some major damage to Bronco. Gonna be something to watch in this one if Bronco can't get them out of the arena as soon as possible here. Another piece off of Bronco here. Definitely something to watch. A big flip, and Rev4's out of the arena. Exactly what Bronco's looking for, and they win. Fantastic battle. We got 2 devastating machines in the arena. Why wasn't this one a main event here? I don't know why. Hey, exactly. Bronco managed to land big flip after big flip on Rev4 here, just continually tossing them around the arena here, and took some damage, took more damage than they have in their other 2 fights, but Bronco still managed to get that flipper underneath Rev4, just continue flipping them. So while Rev4 was in the air, they can't do damage to Bronco. Now, as Rev4 needed to stay right side up here, that gave Bronco a little bit of struggles here, but it didn't matter because Rev4 ended up out of the arena during this highlight right here, and Bronco won this battle and they advanced to the next round. Fantastic battle this was. Next up, we have the DSL class, where we have the 2-seed Mo, who will be taking on the 18-seed Nightmare. First up, we have the higher seed here, Mo, and their horizontal spinner. That horizontal spinner, probably one of the most destructive weapons in this class here, as it has caused a lot of mayhem in their first 2 battles, and they'll be looking to do the same thing in this one. However though, they do have those 4 exposed wheels, which have been major problems for them in the past. Could it be a problem here? their opponent is Nightmare, the 18 seed, and their large vertical spinner. That vertical spinner is large in size and it's large in power. However, though, they do have those two exposed wheels, those two exposed legs, basically, here, that Mo will probably be trying to target here, as they'll probably be trying to avoid going weapon on weapon here. Still, this should be an interesting one. Mo will definitely get a heck of a challenge in this one in Nightmare. Let's check out some highlights from both of these bots' last matchup. First up, we have Mo, who dismantled Gladiator piece by piece and won this one by knockout to get to this point. How will Mo fare against their next opponent, where they take on Nightmare and their vicious vertical spinner, who managed to land some devastating shots in their last matchup against Wheelie Big Cheese and won it by a split decision to get to this round. This should be an interesting one. Let's get to it. Here we go. Mo getting that spinner up to speed here. Weapon on weapon shot here. And Nightmare getting to the top of Mo this time. And I see smoke coming out of Mo already. That can't be good here. Nightmare already getting some damage in, but holding up quite well to the horizontal spinner so far. Mo's got to try to get to the sides of Nightmare as quickly as possible. They have succeeded so far, but how will that fare there in the long run of this battle? Some more weapon on weapon action here. I don't know who's getting the better of those exchanges so far. Hit to the side there. Another hit to the side, giving Nightmare a little bit of airtime. Another weapon on weapon shot here. It's been relatively even so far as for what I've seen so far out of this battle here. Another weapon on weapon shot here. Tons of it. But Nightmare getting to the top of Mo again. Could that be the place they want to target here? Definitely will be something to watch in this one. 1 minute into this battle, it's been relatively even here. Could this be Mo's downfall in this one? That'll be something to continue to watch here. More weapon on weapon shots. And Nightmare! They lost one of the legs to their robot. Nightmare is flipped over and starts spinning out of control in this one. Could Nightmare be in trouble here? Don't forget that this is technically counted as movement, and according to the rule books here, but it could lead to Nightmare's downfall, especially if this one happens to go to the judges, as this will lose them a bunch of aggression points if this one goes the full 3 minutes, and that is one major category here in the competition. And Mo trying to get some more action in with that vertical spinner, possibly dismantle Nightmare more, or just stop that weapon and such, but so far that is not happening here. Nightmare is in some major trouble here with 1 minute left to go in this battle. Nightmare may need to win this battle by knockout if they are to take this one, but how can they do that when they're just spinning out of control like that? Mo trying to go for the other wheel here, trying to knock off the other leg. Kind of like what they're able to do. Looks like they got the wheel off there. Nightmare without any wheels, but they are still spinning out of control. They're spinning in circles here. Could a countdown be coming? Or will the fight get called off potentially? As of now, it's looking like the answer is going to be no. Meaning Mo's got to try to lead Nightmare towards the Pit of Oblivion or immobilize them more than they already have here. Big hit by Mo. Oh, near the pit is Nightmare, and down the pit they go. Mo has won it by knockout, and the 2 seed survives this one. Gotta say, this one was looking like Nightmare was going to give them a serious run for their money, and I would honestly say they did with some of the action we saw at the beginning of this battle. Lots of weapon on weapon exchanges. Nightmare got to the top of Mo a few times, managed to do some major damage here. Mo sent hurled Nightmare back a few times, and so we saw this action here. That could be something to watch, a potential weakness. This was the area where things got bad for Nightmare. Mo destroyed that side of Nightmare with that shot, and then this shot knocked off the other wheel. But Nightmare was still moving despite that. Mo led them towards the Pit of Oblivion and knocked the 18 seed down the pit. and the 2 seed will advance the next round. We will see Mo again. Next up, we got Holy Driver and P1, 2 bots who successfully took out higher seeds in the previous round. On the left side, we have the 45 seed Holy Driver and their vertical spinner. That vertical spinner has proven it's got some power to it. However though, if they get flipped over, they tend to struggle while upside down. They can drive, but sometimes they have only drive on one side, sometimes they have it on both sides. Either way, they are quite less effective when they are flipped over. Their opponent is the 52 seed P1 and their front hinged flipper. That front hinged flipper has proven in their first 2 fights to be very effective. A very effective weapon, despite it being, and it's also quite unique too. However though, they do have those 4 exposed wheels that I imagine Holy Driver is going to be attempting to target. This should be one interesting matchup here. Can't wait for it, but let's check out some highlights from both of these bots' most recent matchup. First up, we had Holy Driver, who managed to successfully have multiple major moments in their battle with Monsoon and managed to win against the higher seed in a split decision to advance to this round. Their opponent is P1, who also successfully took out a big name in death roll here through the use of their ground game advantage and that powerful front hinged flipper. Here we go, the battle of the 40 and 50 seed here. 40 and 50 seed, either way. But P1 trying to outmaneuver Holy Driver and gets an early flip here. Here comes P1 coming right back on the attack here. Here, Holy Driver can't seem to really get much going while upside down here. P1 nearly took them out of the arena, but they are still in this battle. It's Holy Driver here. Holy Driver, they stuck up against the rails there. P1 looks like they helped them out though, and now Holy Driver's right back on their feet again. And now both bots, and Holy Driver lands a hit with that spinner, but P1 does not appear shaken by that blow here. Another big hit by Holy Driver. P1 trying to self-right through their front hinge flipper, and they're taking more hits with from that vertical spinner. Both bots take a shot and are launched up in the air. Holy Driver's flipped over again. Holy Driver proving that they are struggling while upside down here, and now getting launched by P1 in their front hinge flipper. Another big flip. We are a little over a minute into this one. I'd say P1 has the lead so far, but not by a lot, as Holy Driver has gotten in a ton of hits of their own here. Here comes P1, clearly more aggressive, clearly controlling the fight so far for the most part. Or with that flipper. Flip after flip being landed by P1 here. Here we go, P1 landing more and more shots with that front hinged flipper here. They have Holy Driver in the corner, up against the rails, upside down and stuff. Not what Holy Driver wants in this one. We're a little over a minute left to go in this battle here. P1 definitely has the lead on points, but not by a lot here. Holy Driver's definitely catching up on points, Holy Driver definitely has some points on their hand with the moment they had earlier, but they need to come up with something big, or else P1 will probably take this one. Holy Driver upside down once again. They've spent a lot of this battle on their head rather than landing shots with that vertical spinner, which doesn't look that good in the eyes of the judges here. Holy Driver might need to win this one by knockout with how good of a job P1 has been doing, and with that front hinged flipper. P1 trying to take Holy Driver out of the arena, so close there. Now Holy Driver underneath P1 again, ramming them into the rails here. What a battle this has been. 2 bots who each proved in the first round that they were underranked by the selection committee here. 10 seconds left to go. What a battle this has been. P1 taking more hits with that vertical spinner and such, but it looks like this battle is going the distance. Holy Driver managed to land some last second shots, but was it enough to sway the judges over. Gotta say, this should be an interesting one here, as these two both prove that they badly want a spot in the next round of the tournament here. P1 definitely had it early, struck with that flipper to start, but then this was Holy Driver's big moment here. Managed to land some major hits with that vertical spinner here, caused a little bit of damage to P1 and such, but P1 did hold up very well. They were not shaken at all. They just continued to go no fear straight at Holy Driver here. This one was probably the turning point before P1 controlled a majority of the remainder of the battle here. Just continued to flip at Holy Driver time and time again. Holy Driver spent a lot of this battle on their head in this one. But then they managed to get right side up, managed to get a few more attacks in towards the end of the fight, but we'll have to find out when we get to the judge's decision whether they thought that was enough to give Holy Driver the victory here. Overall, P1 controlled a majority of this battle, showed a lot more aggression, but you never know what could happen when a battle goes into the judges' hands. Let's hear what the judges had to say. The judges' votes are in, and it was unanimous. The winner, who will be moving on to the next round, is P1! I agree with the decision, as a majority of this battle was controlled by them and their front hinged flipper. Excellent win by P1, and the 52 seed will advance to the next round. Definitely underranked is P1 here. Gotta say, this bot has gotta be one to watch. Next up, we have the 8 seed Minotaur, who will be taking on the 25 seed Slammo in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. On the left side, we have Minotaur in their drum spinner. That drum spinner is very powerful, got a lot of destructive power to it. However though, they do have those gyroscopic forces issues, and as well, those 3 sides are very much vulnerable here. On the other side, we have Slammo and their grabber and lifter design here. It's very unique and very effective here. I imagine they're going to be trying to avoid the front of Minotaur here, and will be trying to keep that front towards Minotaur anyway, because they don't want Minotaur to get to those vulnerable sides of theirs with that drum spinner. So I wonder, will we get to see some suplexes out of Slammo in this one? We only saw one in their previous battle. Before we find out that answer, let's check out some highlights from both of these bots' last round matchup. First up, we had Minotaur, who looked like they were on the ropes in this one. Had a tough matchup in Rust and Pieces here, but they managed to come out with a split decision, judge's decision victory. Their opponent is Slammo, where we unfortunately only got to see one suplex out of them in this battle. But for the rest of the battle, it was all them just pushing Snappy around, where they won it by a judge's decision. Here we go. Here comes Slammo charging after Minotaur here. They're trying to misflip right there, and it proves costly because now Minotaur's underneath Slammo, doing some damage to the underside here. Not what Slammo was hoping to do to start this battle here. This Minotaur is now chewing up their sides and underside with that drum spinner. How much damage have they done so far? Slammo uses that lifter to get free. Now they open up the pit, and now Minotaur's on them again, landing some more ferocious attacks here. Now Slammo's underneath them and lands a suplex here. What a flip by Slammo there, but Minotaur's on them again here. Slammo trying to self right through the use of that lifter, and both bots near the pit of oblivion, and both bots fall down it. Now there is a complication here. So the rules state that if both bots fall down the pit, whoever hit the ground of the pit first loses the battle and is eliminated from the competition. However though, if there's no evidence the bot hit the ground first, or very little, or can't really tell who hit the ground first, it'll go to a judge's decision. Let's check out a replay, see if we can find it out. So this is the moment right here We saw both bots fall to the ground. Gotta say that it's very close and such. So, based off of that replay, there isn't really enough evidence that one of those two bots fell down the pit first. So the decision is to send it to a judge's decision, where the judges will just score it based off of the same scale that they have for every single fight so far. Let's check out some replays before we hear how the judges scored this battle here. So in this one, Slammo, a misflip costed them big time in this one, as we saw a misflip right there, and then they took hit after hit from Minotaur's drum spinner, but luckily Slammo did hold up very well to the punishment here. We saw one entertaining suplex from Slammo, excellent control. Well, now that'll happen about right here and such. Excellent flip by Slammo here. That'll be some points in the hands of the judges, but how well will it score for them? And knowing Minotaur did land a bunch of devastating shots with that drum spinner and such. Still, let's find out what the judges had to say, as one of these two bots will be awarded a spot into the next round. The judges' votes are in, and once again it was unanimous. The winner, who will be moving on to the next round, is Minotaur. Gotta say, the judges definitely scored it in favor of Minotaur, probably because Minotaur had a lot more action with their primary weapon than Slammo. Still, excellent fight. What a fight that we just saw. Next up, we go to the DSL class, where we have the 7-seed 259, who will be taking on the 23-seed Hypnodisc. A spinner-on-spinner battle here, and those are always fun to watch. First up, we have the 7-seed 259 and their vertical spinner. That vertical spinner has some power to it, as it has caused some bits and pieces to fly off of their first two opponents. However, though, their big issue is their own ground game over at the front here. Now, as they have struggled against wedges and stuff, that might not be an issue in this one, but you never know what could happen here. Their opponent is Hypnodisc, a horizontal spinner. Overall, similar strength and weakness, just it's a horizontal spinner compared to a vertical spinner. Now, as this vertical spinner caused a lot of damage in their last battle against Tornado. But this bot doesn't have a lot of push power or ground game either. So this could be an interesting battle. It could come down to who can outmaneuver the other here. Meaning this should be an entertaining fight to watch. I can't wait to see it. Let's see who will move on to the next round, but check out some highlights from both of these bots' last matchup first. First up, we have 259, who was able to successfully outmaneuver Complete Control in their last battle, and managed to knock them down the pit and win that battle by knockout to get here. Their opponent is Hypnodisc, who got a major battle with Tornado, managed to dismantle them piece by piece, and managed to win it via judge's decision to get to this round of the tournament, where they will challenge the 7th seed. Here we go, 259 getting that weapon up to speed, as is Hypnodisc. Weapon on weapon action here. 259 trying to get to possibly those 4 wheels here. Trying to outmaneuver, big hit, big weapon on weapon shots. Lots of weapon on weapon action between those two. Who's getting the better of it? Big hit. Looks like 259 seems to be getting the worst of it. They lost both of their armor panels in those last 2 hits by Hypnodisc. Not a good way to start this battle by 259, because their wheels are now all exposed here. Here comes Hypnodisc, continually takes a shot from the floor flipper here, taking a hit from 259, but I don't know who got the better of that exchange, because look at 259's control board. It's in trouble here. Big hit here by 259, keeping that vertical spinner towards Hypnodisc here. More weapon on weapon action. It's hard to tell who's getting the better of this, but it appears to be Hypnodisc. But not by much here. More shots being taken by Hypnodisc. The floor flipper and another hit, takes out the control board, and Hypnodisc has taken out the 7th seed here and advanced. Lots of weapon-on-weapon action here. It was hard to tell. You know, it looked like the answer was Hypnodisc. It was hard to tell who was getting the worst of it until this point here, where Hypnodisc took off all the armor on 259, protecting those wheels. Then we saw this happen, where it looked like it was a turning point in 259's favor, but it was not eventually. So if you look at the control board area, this area took out a major bit of the control board, resulting in them being in serious trouble here. They continued to attack weapon on weapon, continued to stay aggressive as they should, because we don't like to see robots who run away after something like that happens. But then, it was his last hit and event in the floor flipper too. The disabled old 259 and Hypnodisc, the 23 seed, advances. Next up, we go to the Robot Wars class. Yes, first time in a while, we have the 4 seed Megabyte, who will be taking on the 29 seed Ripper. On the left side, we have the full body spinner of Megabyte. That full body spinner has a lot of power to it. It is a very dangerous weapon. However though, their own stability could be their big problem here. While they do have a self-righting mechanism and such, uncontrolled movement could still be a major problem and could cost them this battle. Their opponent is Ripper, the 29 seed, and that flipper. We finally got to see action out of that powerful flipper in their last match, as it is proven it could send robots all the way up to the ceiling and such, and we could see that in this match. However though, their 3 sides are very much vulnerable. Well, pretty much their other 3 sides, but you get the idea. Which Megabyte will probably be trying to target this one and such. This should be an interesting matchup, but let's check out what these 2 bots were up to in order to get to this round of the tournament. First up, we have Megabyte, who landed hit after hit. Took a while, but they eventually were able to immobilize Steel Avenger, their opponent, and win that battle by knockout, where they got to this round of the tournament. Their challenger is Ripper, who looks to take out the 4 seed. He managed to land some powerful flips with that flipper, and eventually got Saros clean out of the arena in order to advance to the next round, where they will challenge the 4 seed. Here we go, Megabyte getting that full body spinner up to speed, taking a flip, and they're upside down here, and another flip. Megabyte was nearly taken all the way out of the arena here, and Ripper is letting some big flips on Megabyte. Ripper trying to keep that front towards Megabyte, as full body spinners, like their design, tends to struggle against wedge bots and such. And it is proving right here as Megabyte running away from Ripper. Ripper on the chase. Another big flip by Ripper here. Megabyte, could they be in trouble here? Ripper giving them a heck of a challenge, stacking up the points here, as Megabyte just hasn't been able to do anything big yet. Here comes Ripper again, landing a big flip. Another one. Out of the arena? No, that close, as Megabyte was so close to getting flipped out of the arena there. Now, as Ripper has been in complete control of this battle so far. The 4 seed is under a lot of pressure here. Could they be in trouble? A little over a minute into this battle, I think the underdog right now is leading on points here. They've been landing big flip after big flip, not giving Megabyte an inch, proving this flipper bot was completely underestimated in this one. Taking a few shots to the front is Ripper here. Megabyte a little more cautious, but now taking another flip. I think I saw a little bit of smoke coming out of Megabyte. That can't be good. Another flip by Ripper, another one. Megabyte's out of the arena, and Ripper advances. The 4 seed has fallen. Wow. This was fun to watch. Now, as we saw the 4 seed just get tossed around here, the underdog just went no fear at Megabyte, knew that they had to keep their front towards them, keep flipping them, keep Megabyte out of control. They were able to do that successfully. Megabyte had two very close calls there, almost getting tossed out of the arena at the beginning of that battle and such. As Ripper letting powerful flip after powerful flip here, just not giving Megabyte a chance to get that full body spinner up to speed and do some serious damage here. That was a big help for Ripper in this one and such. Now as Megabyte just couldn't get that full body spinner up to speed and outmaneuver Ripper, as Ripper just constantly kept their front towards them. That flip right there caused the smoke and such, as we had some smoke erupting out of Megabyte, but it still was too late for them, as they were soon tossed out of the arena. What an upset that was, as the 4 seed is now falling. Next up, we have a rematch from the opening round of this tournament, where we have BreakerBox and Electric Boogaloo. On the left side, we have the 38 seed BreakerBox and their lifter. That front has proven to be low to the ground and also extremely well armored here. However though, those 3 other sides are very much vulnerable, and Electric Boogaloo has even managed to pop out a wheel multiple times in their opening round matchup. The opponent is Electric Boogaloo, as said, and their vertical spinner. That vertical spinner is very much powerful. It's not one to mess around with and such. However though, they do have those 2 exposed wheels, and they are less effective upside their own stability and such is probably a better way to rephrase it and such. If they get flipped over, they can self-right and such through the use of their spinner, but they are less effective and such. Rather than checking out highlights from their last matchups, let's check out some highlights from these two's opening round matchup against each other. When these two fought the first time in the opening round, in the very first episode actually, the BreakerBox was in control of the battle from the beginning until this moment. One of the major driving mistakes here, and then Electric Boogaloo just pulverized them time after time again with that vertical spinner and won it by knockout. Can BreakerBox get some revenge in this one? Let's find out here, as this matchup has now begun. Here comes Electric Boogaloo and BreakerBox doing circles and such. The Electric Boogaloo draws first blood, landing a few hits with that spinner and such. Not how BreakerBox is wanting to start this battle, as they are now pinned up against the rails here. And now Electric Boogaloo just landing hit after hit with that spinner. Not the way a BreakerBox was hoping to start, but now they're underneath Electric Boogaloo, ramming them into the rails and such, pushing around Electric Boogaloo here. BreakerBox now charging into Electric Boogaloo here, got them from the backside again, ramming them into the rails again. This is clearly BreakerBox's strategy here. Take control of the battle here. Just keep that vertical spinner off them as much as possible here. Big hit by Electric Boogaloo there. They're driving circles around BreakerBox again, trying to get an excellent shot. They get one there. And another one. And Electric Boogaloo landing some more big hits so far. Haven't seen a lot of damage though, as we haven't seen any bits and pieces fly off compared to last time and so far. And now BreakerBox getting taken into the tire once again. The pit's now open, and now Floor Flipper gets on in on the action here, flipping BreakerBox with their right side up, taking another flip as BreakerBox once again. Gotta watch out for the arena hazards here, as it has costed some bots the entire fight. Big hit by Boogaloo. Boogaloo underneath. Eats BreakerBox, and off comes a wheel. BreakerBox down to 3 wheels now. That's the first big piece of damage we've seen in this one, and we have a little more than a minute. What a rematch this has been. Close battle so far. Another big shot, but looks like another wheel came off. Looked like it was the right front tire this time, meaning they have one wheel on each side, and yet even with that damage, BreakerBox is continuing to attack here. Another big shot, and what happened here? The frame completely separated from BreakerBox. Now all BreakerBox is a bunch of electronics, 2 wheels, and a lifter here. And catapulted out of the arena is BreakerBox. And Electric Boogaloo has won this battle by knockouts. Here we go, hit after hit being landed by BreakerBox here to start this battle. Started it off strong, drawing first blood here, pinning BreakerBox against the rails. But then when BreakerBox got free, they were just pushing Electric Boogaloo around once again, like how the fight started out the last time these two bots fought. But Electric Boogaloo managed to turn the tables again, started landing more hits. Right here was when the first wheel came off and such, the first of two that came off. Now as this area was when things got extra bad for BreakerBox. Separated the internals and the lifter and such from the rest of the frame, leaving all their electronics almost completely exposed before being catapulted out of the arena. The 7-seed advances. Finally, we have tonight's main event, which features Apollo and Sawblaze over in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. First up, we have Apollo, the 44 seed who won their matchup in the last round in a very close battle. Apollo and that flipper is reasonably well armored. It's quite fast and maneuverable as well. However, though, their flipper is a little less effective compared to other flippers in the competition, but don't ever underestimate this bot, as this bot has still managed to win quite a few times over the past few seasons and such. Their opponent is Sawblaze. They got a saw, they got a flamethrower, and they got a very effective front that has scooped up opponents very well here. Of course, though, they do have those exposed wheels, but then we've also seen concerns lately about their ability to self-right here, which could be something to watch in this fight as well. Either way, this should be an interesting one and a fun main event. Let's check out how these two bots got to this point in the competition. First up, we have Apollo, who took on Scorpios, a similar design to tonight's opponent and such, where they managed to land enough flips and won it in a very close split decision to get to this round of the tournament. Their opponent is Sawblaze, which, believe it or not, this one was also won in a split judge's decision and such. Sawblaze managed to control this battle through that saw and their scoop and such very effectively to win their battle. Here we go. Here comes Apollo and Sawblaze here. Apollo getting an early flip on Sawblaze and such. Apollo goes on the attack early. Sawblaze struggling to self-right here. There were concerns about that after their matchup with Duck in one moment here. It seems like they are struggling right now. Can they not self-right? Possibly. They do there, but now they got rammed into the rails again by Apollo and getting flipped again as Sawblaze here. Apollo, quite effective use of that flipper so far for it being a less effective weapon compared to other flippers and such, as they got Sawblaze on their head again and almost taking them into the rails again. Sawblaze got himself right, gotta get something going here as it's been all Apollo so far. Excellent job by the 40+ seed here. 1 minute into this one, it's just been all Apollo. Sawblaze hasn't had any moments like that right there, getting taken into the rails again. But now Sawblaze getting underneath Apollo here, landing a few hits with that saw and such, and getting some of that flame in Apollo here. That's going to be something to watch here in this one. How much damage can they do to Apollo? Another big hit by Sawblaze, landing some hits with that overhead saw and such. Another flip by Apollo. Apollo taking Sawblaze into the rails, controlling this fight very well with that flipper and such. Here comes Sawblaze again, landing a few jabs with that saw once again, getting that flamethrower in on the action. Sawblaze attempting to turn the battle, but looks like they lost their saw in that last exchange and such. Could be something to watch here. Sawblaze, can they come back from this one? They were able to come back last time after losing their weapon and such. Can they do the same thing tonight? Apollo seems to be losing the ground game even though they got a flip right there. Been a relatively close fight. I feel like Apollo has controlled more of it, but what about damage though? Apollo hasn't really seemed to be doing Apollo has seemed to do little to no damage with that flipper, compared to Sawblaze, where we have seen some marks in Apollo through the use of that saw, showing some signs of damage here. So that could change the decision if it happens to go the full 3 minutes. But here comes Apollo ramming Sawblaze into the rails here. Very well controlled by Apollo here. What a main event this has been. Less than 30 seconds to go. Sawblaze continuing to get in underneath Apollo, scooping them up again despite not having a weapon here. Here comes Apollo, trying to avoid Sawblaze running away from them. And then such, and Apollo forces himself right and being taken into the rails here. Flame getting inside them. Sawblaze has Apollo pinned, hitting them with the arm of their saw once again. And this fight has gone the full 3 minutes, and once again, we have another judge's decision. And this is not going to be an easy one and such. Lots of questions in this one. The first minute, it was like all Apollo in this one. Sawblaze just couldn't get anything going in the first minute of this battle, as they were just constantly getting flipped, constantly getting pushed around, constantly getting taken into the rails in this one. Apollo just did not give them a chance to land an effective blow with that saw. But the fight did turn, and such. It did turn a few times in this one. We saw Sawblaze land some hits with that saw and such. Apollo easily able to self-right every time they got flipped over, but at times it seemed like Sawblaze was the lower to the ground machine between the two, as they just gave Apollo so much trouble in this one through the use of their primary weapon. But of course though, there are major questions involved in this one. Sawblaze seemed to control like 2/3 to 3/4 of this battle with that flipper and such, but then Sawblaze managed to control the remainder of this battle, land some more effective shots with the saw. But then this moment right here, where the judges saw Apollo pinned up against the rails, isn't going to look good for them. But was it enough to sway the judges towards Sawblaze, knowing what Apollo was able to do for most of the battle? The judges' votes are in, and we have a split decision. Judge Green Square scored this battle in favor of Sawblaze. Judge Porinog scored this battle in favor of Apollo. Judge Daily Dose of Battlebots scored this battle in favor of the winner, who will be moving on to the next round. Sawblaze. Close battle that was. That one honestly could have gone either way. What a fantastic main event. Great season by Apollo here. What a way to end the night and such. Now that this episode is done, the first episode of the second round of each bracket has now been concluded. We just saw 10 terrific fights, and there are 3 episodes with the remaining 30 battles left in the round coming. Stars of the night include Electric Boogaloo, Mo, and 259, who all had destructive victories and showed their high potential to take a War Machine's title. Bronco had yet another entertaining victory with that flipper that we love to see in action. The biggest star of the night has to go to Cobalt, who pulled off another destructive victory, just pulling off destructive victory after destructive victory. Can this robot even be stopped? With this episode down, there are 3 more episodes left for this round of the tournament. 10 more great fights from this round will be coming in the next episode that I bet that you all will enjoy. I will see you next time.